Chapter 1. I always get the shakes before I drop. I've had the injections, of course, and hypnotic preparation, and it stands to reason that I can't really be afraid. The ship's psychiatrist has checked my brain waves and asked me silly questions while I was asleep, and he tells me that it isn't anything important. It's just like trembling of an eager racehorse at the starting gate. I couldn't say about that. I never have been a racehorse. But the fact is, I'm scared silly every time. At T-30, after we had mustered in the drop room for the Roger Young, our platoon leader inspected us. He wasn't our regular platoon leader because Lieutenant Reza had bought it in our last drop. He was really the platoon sergeant, career ship sergeant. Jelly was a Finno-Turk from Iskander around Proxima. A swarthy little man who looked like a clerk. I've never seen him tackle two berserk privates so big he had to reach up to grab him. And crack their heads together like coconuts, step back out of the way while they fell. Off duty he wasn't bad for a sergeant. You could even call him Jelly to his face. Not recruits, of course, but somebody who made at least one combat job. But right now he was on duty, and he had each inspected our combat equipment. Look, it's your own neck, see? The acting platoon sergeant had gone over us carefully after he mustered us, and now Jelly went over us again, his face, his eyes missing, nothing. He stopped by the man in front of me, pressed the button on his belt, and gave readings on his physicals. Fallout, but Sarge is just a cold, the surgeon said. Jelly interrupted. But Sarge, he snapped, the surgeon isn't making no drop, and neither are you. With a degree and a half of fear, I think I got time to chat with you just before I drop. Fallout. Jenkins left us, looking sad and mad, and I felt bad too, because Lieutenant buying it last drop and people moving up. I was assistant section leader, second section, this drop, and now I was going to have a hole in my section and no way to fill it. That's not good. It means a man can run into something sticky, call for help, and have nobody to help him. Jelly didn't down check anybody else. Presently he stepped out in front of us, looked us over, and shook his head sadly. What a gang of apes, he growled. Maybe you feel all day with this truck. They could start over and build the kind of outfit the lieutenant expected you to be. But probably not with the sort of recruits we get these days. He suddenly straightened up, shouted, I was just want to remind you apes that each and every one of you has cost the government county weapons, armor, ammo, instrumentation, and training, everything including the way you overeat. It's cost on the hoof better than $500,000. Add in 30 cents you are actually worth, and that runs to quite a sum. He glared at us. So bring it back. We can spare you. We can't spare that fancy suit you're wearing. I don't want any heroes in this outfit. The lieutenant wouldn't like that. You got a job to do. You go down. You do it. Keep your ears open for a recall. You show up for retrieval on the bounce, and by the numbers, get me. He glared again. You're supposed to know the plan, but some of you ain't got any minds to hypnotize, so I'll sketch it out. They'll be dropped in 2 skirmish lines, calculated 2,000-yard intervals. You get your bearing on me as soon as you hit. Get your bearing and distance on your squad mates, both sides, while you take cover. You wasted 10 seconds already, so you smash and destroy whatever's at hand until the flankers hit dirt. He was talking about me. As assistant section leader, I was going to be left flanker. With nobody at my elbow, I began to tremble. Once they hit, straighten out those lines, equalize those intervals, drop what you're doing and do it 12 seconds, then advance by leapfrog on even. Assistant section leaders minding the count and guiding. Assistant section leaders minding the count and guiding the envelopment. He looked at me. If you've done this properly, which I doubt, the flicks will make contact as recall sounds. At which time home to go. Any questions? There weren't any. There never were. We went on. One more word. This is just a raid, not a battle. It's a demonstration of firepower and frightfulness. Our mission is to let the enemy know we have destroyed their city. Our mission is to let the enemy know that we could have destroyed their city, but didn't. But they aren't safe, even though we are free from total bombing. You'll take no prisoners. You'll kill only when you can't help it. But the entire area we hit is to be smashed. I don't want to see any of you loafers back aboard here with unexpended bombs. Get me? He glanced at the time. Razzik's roughnecks have got a reputation to uphold. Lieutenant told me before he bought it to tell you that he will always have his eye on you every minute, and then he expects your names to shine. Jella glanced over at Sergeant Migolaccio, first section leader. 5 minutes for the Padre, he stated. Some of the boys dropped out of ranks, went over and knelt in front of Migolaccio, and not necessarily those of his creed either. Muslims, Christians, Gnostics, Jews, whoever wanted a word with him before it dropped, he was there. I've heard tell that there used to be military outfits whose chaplains did not fight alongside the others, but I've been able to see how that could work. I mean, how can a chaplain bless anything he's not willing to do himself? In any case, in the mobile infantry, everybody drops and everybody fights. Chaplain and cook and the old man's right. Once he went down the tube, there shouldn't be a roughneck left aboard. Except Jenkins, of course, and that's not his fault. I didn't go over it. I always was afraid somebody would see me shake if I did, and anyhow, the Padre could bless me just as handedly from where he was. But he came over to me as the last driver stood up and pressed his helmet against mine to speak privately. Johnny, he said quietly, this is your first drop as a non-com. Yeah, I wasn't really a non-com any more than Jelly was really an officer. Just this, Johnny. Don't buy a farm. You know your job. Do it. Just do it. Don't try to win a medal. Thanks, Padre. I shan't. He added something gently in a language I don't know, patted me on the shoulder, and hurried back to his section. Jelly called out, 10 hut, and we all snapped to. Platoon, section, platoon, section, Igalacho and Johnson echoed. By sections, port and starboard, prepare for drop. Section, man your capsules, move. Squad, I had to wait while squads 4 and 5 manned the capsules and moved on down the firing tube before my capsule showed up on the port track, and I could climb into it. I wondered if those old-timers got the shakes as they climbed into the Trojan horse, or is it just me? Jelly checked each man as he was sealed in, and he sealed me in himself. And as he did so, he leaned toward me and said, "Don't goof off, Johnny. This is just like a drill." The top closed on me, and I was alone. Just like a drill, he said as I began to shake uncontrollably. Then, in my earphones, I heard Jelly from the centerline tube. Bridge, Razzik's roughnecks, ready for drop. 17 seconds, Lieutenant. I heard the ship captain's triplet Ventralto replying, and resented her calling Jelly Lieutenant. To be sure, our lieutenant was dead, and maybe Jelly would be his commission, but he was still Razzik's roughnecks. She added, "Good luck, boys. Thanks, Captain. Brace yourselves. 5 seconds." I was strapped all over, belly, forehead, shins, but I shook worse than ever.